This Malayalam series is a proof that Malayalam cinema can do anything, and that too really well. Let's talk about it. Hello guys, I'm Nona Prince and today we're talking about the Malayalam series The Chronicles of 4.5 Gang, created by Krishand, who has made films like Avasvayam and Purusha Pretam. To give you a reference of what this show is like, imagine Mirzapur but created by Raj and DK in Wes Anderson style, or a Gangs of Wasepur on acid. This 6-episode series is a gangster saga which we have seen many times. The journey of becoming a gangster from their youth, how they climb the steps to reach that place. You know, the usual stuff, but it is done in such a refreshing way. There is a sense of the narrative predictability, but the flavor is so unique. The making is so stylish. The writing is so punchy. It is very grounded but so entertaining. And there is no heroism involved. There is no making a gangster look cool. It is actually a cautionary tale but with a lot of laughs. And it has a new take on structuring the narrative which makes it special. You may have seen a lot of typical gangster stuff in the past, but why this stands out? Let me take the analogy of pottery. You know, someone uses the mud to sculpt a vase and they're really good at it. It looks really cool. Great job. But then you see someone sculpt a human face out of that mud using the same tool, and suddenly you understand the possibilities of it. And now someone making a vase out of it will not be that attractive. It is still a skill, a good job done, but now the level of artistry has been raised. The standard has changed. That is basically Malayalam cinema and Bollywood. Before we get into what the series does so well, let's talk about the biggest negative, which is that this show is streaming on SonyLIV, one of the worst OTT platforms. That is literally the biggest negative of the show. I know they spend the money, they back this project, it is their original on their platform, but their platform has the worst user experience. I wanted to watch this show on TV, but the subtitles are so small, and that too at the bottom of the screen, like almost just above where you can see them, like little bit below, and you're not able to even see them. And there's no way, no setting to change it. At least some other platforms they give you an option to change the size and the font. On SonyLIV there's no option. At least I couldn't find it. I went through everything, and because of this it becomes so hard to watch it with subtitles, and that's why I had to watch it on my phone where the subtitles were at least bigger. And it is just so crazy that we're in 2025. There's so many references. You can even copy other people and make it better, but they haven't. When you're watching a show, you'll watch one episode, 2 episodes, then you may take a break and come back. Their app is so bad. When I come back, they don't show continue watching. I have to literally scroll and find the show, and when I find it, if I click on it, it starts from the episode 1, not from where I had to continue. Yes, sometimes when you open it will show you continue watching, and it's much easier. Even that is sometimes stuck. It's still showing episode 2 when I've already finished episode 4. I know, like, it's becoming a rant right now, but that's the biggest issue. I'm recommending this show to people to watch, but if this is the experience, I'm sure most people will leave it. Even on the phone when I'm watching, this whole black border around the footage, and sometimes when I zoom it, the subtitles also getting zoomed in and they're cutting off at the bottom. They have to close the app and restart again. And at many moments in the show, there are many characters who are constantly talking over each other. The subtitles go so fast, it's so hard to read them, that I had to commit the cardinal sin, switching to the Hindi dubbed version. Whenever there were chaotic sequences where too many characters were there, I switched to Hindi. And then when there were intimate moments between characters and there were slow dialogues, I switched back to Malayalam. Not a great experience. And even the Hindi dub I was watching with English subtitles, so I don't miss out on anything. Sometimes they translate the dialogue to something else, so I would know the context of the actual language. But at so many moments, the subtitles were appearing, but in the dubbing, there's no dialogue. It's silent. And then I had to switch back to Malayalam, and there you could hear the dialogues. Insane. But yeah, that's the end of my rant. That was the horrible experience, and that's the biggest negative of the show. So let's come to the plot. A gangster who's on the run from the police goes to an author to write his biography, and through that process we see the journey of this gang, and there are twists and turns with that itself. The style of the show is what makes it so special. The colors are saturated, they give them a different mood. The way the sequences are captured, it just gives you an awesome feeling watching. Like in one of the later episodes, they do this one single take camera rotation where we see different characters who are not together. They are in different timelines, but also the background behind them is telling a different story, and it's constantly changing as we move to different character. What a technical achievement that is. And there are many clever and insane stuff they do, and this actually adds a layer on top of the narrative they're telling. The memorable sequences are not just about the writing, but also the way they depict it visually. Now, because the characters are in the present and they're telling a flashback story, at many moments they would merge both of them. The character in the present are part of the flashback moments, and in some sequence the author is talking to the younger version of the character. I have this small detail where a character who has a very old grudge against the protagonist is standing next to an elephant, and it's like a wide shot which is telling you elephants are known for their memory. So, it's a very nice touch. They do a very cool thing that whenever characters are planning to attack someone or rob someone, whatever equipment they need need for that. That is shown to us, from a top angle view, where each thing is lying, even a auto, even a car, even a bike, a knife, like every equipment would need, it's laid down and they have shot it from the top angle, and all of it is pointed out with the text what it is. And again, such an innovative way of doing it, that you are actually putting in so much effort to not just show this, but in your writing you're planning all of this, that all of these things will be needed. Now coming to the narrative, it is full of thrill, suspense, comedy, there's a bit of romance also, and overall it is quite layered. There is a big commentary on the class difference, talking about where these characters come from, how they're trying to escape their reality, how they are being used. At one juncture they actually touch on the father-son relationship, how even in gangsters nepotism is a thing, how it is hard to come out of poverty, that the society doesn't let you do that, and it shows you the cycle of violence from generation to generation. You are just sucked into it. And the crucial part is all of this is balanced out with being entertaining. It never becomes preachy, it's never on your face, and the show does so many unique stuff, like the most unassuming guy who you will feel pity for turns out to be the biggest badass. Like one of the big thug of the town is actually trained in martial arts. Whenever you hear about gangsters or gangs, the crimes they would commit, you'll think about drugs, weapons, because that is what all we have seen, the most extreme stuff. But in this show, the gang is doing milk business, flower business, and actually every episode ends with an event which is inspired from a real incident. So that tells you the reality itself is so funny. You don't need to make it up. You'd assume in a gangster show there'll be so many guns and bullets firing everywhere. Interestingly, in this show, I think the guns show up 3 times in total and they're just shot twice. That's it. This narrative doesn't have, heroes and villains. These are just random characters and we are watching their story unfold. And through that also in the narrative, they create this contrast. How one incident makes one group happy and the other group sad. It is yin and yang, where someone is building a house, someone else's house is being destroyed. And such moments make the world so dense. Now we have to talk about the meta commentary of this show, because it's a gangster telling the author his story and they actually want to masalafy it, change it, whitewash his life, make him the hero. And we see how they are doing it. There is a sense of unreliable narration there. We are getting to see what really happened, but we are also seeing how they are changing it, how they are changing the narrative and perception, the creation of false fiction. And there's so much commentary on the different trends that's happening, how this author wants the movie rights for the story, how the story they are making up is actually really good for a big star to do, where he can actually play double role, playing the father and the son. Like there's so many quips like this. And one interesting thing to note, that the character of the big superstar in the show is played by the director and the creator itself. The show does a really good job in making each character stand out for its own, be it the 4.5 gang members, be it the police inspector, be it the different adversaries they come up to, and all of them are flawed. They all have depth. It is done so well, especially with the side characters, that I want to see a spin-off of them. There is that much material. And the cast of the show throughout has performed really well. Jagdish as the writer was so good. All the gang members played different ages of their character and they did really well. Big shout out to the costume and makeup also. Darshana Rajendran as a villain, very exciting idea and I would love to see more. I would say the extras, the side roles, they were not that convincing. It felt like they got real people around the place and made them act. They are not that trained. And I could tell that especially in the wide shots, there's a lot is going on. And I have to say, one big letdown for me in the show was the climax of the last episode. They wanted to create this chaotic fight and it felt like they rolled the camera and thought, let's do something. Let's see where it goes. And it actually didn't work. The execution just didn't click. It became very dull. The characters were talking more and the action was less. And it just went on for too long. It became just repetitive. And it happens when there are so many characters and so many things you have to juggle. What really happens is that feeling of when the camera is on this character, they are performing, they have to do something, and then we move to the other character, all of them are paused. Now they'll wait for the other character's thing to complete and the camera come back to them and then they'll continue. The time frame when the camera was not on them, they haven't done anything. So it almost feels like the story has paused for them. And that just detaches you from the scene. And the ending also, there's a realization movement for the gang members to understand, but I just felt it didn't feel organic. It almost felt rushed. But there are many hints for season 2 to come. There are a lot of loose ends to be tied. So I'm excited to see the next season. Music in this show throughout is really enjoyable. The location also plays a big part in the narrative. It's Thiruvananthapuram, but they've actually changed it a bit, maybe for some reason. But the place also feels like a character in the story. But overall, a really good show which I enjoyed despite everything that SonyLIV does. I feel it did go under the radar because of Loka and other releases at Onam, but it's definitely worth watching, just like this Malayalam show and why Malayalam cinema can make great content on OTT. Check it out. Do let me know your thoughts in the comments below and I will see you next time.